Some of the basic considerations for an electronic document management solution would be a method for converting paper documents to electronic ones, somewhere to house the documents that's safe and accessible, software and network protocols for moving the documents to that location, and a simple method of finding the documents when they're needed. Modern copiers have several different ways to store documents as digital files. One of the ways that they do this is by using the old school TWAIN drivers. This typically only works over USB, and it requires the user to place documents in the machine, walk to their PC, and work the TWAIN scanning software to pull the image to them. Another method is to use the SMTP protocol, which sends the scanned image to an email. This requires an email server with a valid email account for the copier to send with, and sometimes there are security concerns with scanning the email due to the documents potentially having to cross the internet, and that copiers sometimes have trouble with encryption. The ideal means for sending files from the copier are using SMB and FTP. These protocols are nearly as old as the modern PC, and they're widely used and accepted by multiple devices and PC brands. They offer a much more secure means of transfer and create a simpler means for the end user to send their documents directly from an address book entry. SMB and FTP are ideal because they're widely accepted protocols on multiple PC platforms. They make use of the network that they're integrated into. They use the copier to create documents with little user interaction. Files are sent to a predefined filing structure on the destination server, and they don't require internet access or an email server. Another consideration for any document management solution is somewhere to house the scanned documents that's both secure and accessible to end users. One way is to simply use the customer's server, if they have one, and to create their filing system using folders and subfolders. Separate user accounts can be created, each with their own access rights, to control who does and sees what. This typically doesn't require anything additional to be installed. A simple server with account management, like Microsoft's Active Directory, is enough to set up a fairly complex filing system. A second means for file storage is with something called a NAS, or Network Attached Storage. It's basically a hard drive with a network card attached and a proprietary configuration interface put in place by the manufacturer. NAS devices come in all types and flavors, but they all have some sort of account management for security and use both SMB and FTP to receive documents. Both of these solutions should have disaster recovery options in place. There's basically two core things to consider for disaster recovery: backup and data redundancy. Backups are what we're most familiar with. They create a consistent means for copying valuable data and store it someplace safe. Ideally, files are stored in the cloud where they're not on-site and potentially subject to the same disaster as the original data. On the other hand, data redundancy is where we employ additional hard drives in an array, such that if one of the drives fails, the device will continue to function. The failing drive can then be replaced and its data rebuilt using the still functioning drives. The greater the array complexity, the more drives that are allowed to fail at once, and the greater the price. Redundancy basically eliminates the downtime due to device failure. Both the server and NAS solutions can support some type of redundancy and backup. Which one to use for each customer is entirely situational. Finding documents when needed. The most basic way to find a file is by name or content. When copiers scan to a file location, they use a file naming convention that includes a date and timestamp as part of the name. This prevents files from overwriting each other as the new scan is sent. Users who use their scanner for electronic filing often send their files to an unsorted general folder. They then rename the file however they want and move it into a more permanent folder with other files like it. Files can then be found by browsing the folder tree or by using the built-in search function of their computer. For example, Windows can be directed to search down a path for a file name and/or specific phrases inside the files themselves. This is one instance where OCR, or optical character recognition, comes in very handy. A search query that is looking for info inside of a file can only find matching text if the text in the file is recognized as text. Usually when a document is scanned and saved to a file, it's simply recognized as a flat image file. The MFP only sends pictures and does no OCR of its own. Some OCR software, such as Abby FineReader's Corporate Edition, has the ability to monitor a folder for file types you specify. These files get an OCR scan run over them where the program identifies the text and saves the file as a newly created searchable PDF. The next time the user searches inside the files for information, Windows will be able to read the contents of the documents and return those results as well. Using OCR technology to make content searchable. Since modern scanners capture documents as images, the document scanned becomes a solid continuous whole. The scanned file reaches its destination as one layer, a flat picture. OCR, or optical character recognition, is a software that's used to search files, identify sections containing text, and save its findings as a new text searchable document. This allows sections of the document to be selected, edited, or searched through as you might do with a Word document. I'm recommending using Abby FineReader's Corporate Edition for the OCR portion of this package. It's among the best of the OCR softwares available, and it's priced at about $400. If you're wondering why I chose the Corporate Edition, it's because this version includes their hot folder monitor. The hot folder would allow files to be dropped into it by an MFP, and they would get OCR'd automatically in as little as 1-minute intervals. The hot folder can be configured to search down subfolders, so basically it would be set up to monitor the root of the customer's scan folders, and the OCR would get any new documents that are coming from the MFP. Tying it all together. The first thing we'll need is a copier capable of scanning to FTP. This is pretty much any modern copier. Second, we'll need a repository for the files. If the customer already has a Windows server, we can easily use that to mitigate some of the cost. The alternative to a server is the network-attached storage solution. With the NAS solution, they'll still need a PC on their network that can host Abby FineReader's software. The software can be loaded anywhere, but an always-on PC is ideal for providing 24/7 hands-free OCR capabilities. Either choice should include off-site backups with a service like Mozy or Carbonite, as well as basic hardware fault protection, meaning redundant hard drives in an array. The filing structure will be created to match the customer's needs, and the copier will be programmed with the structure in mind. Abby FineReader would be set up to monitor the entirety of the folder structure for any new documents and would automatically OCR them in as little as 1-minute intervals. The disaster recovery solution would then be programmed to back up the whole folder structure and save it out to the cloud. Any PC needing to look through searchable PDFs may need to download from Adobe. This is to fix a glitch when searching from Windows 7 64-bit PCs, but it's not a big deal, just takes a few minutes. The software and configuration described in this presentation, in addition to a copier's own functionality, match the capabilities of much more expensive document management packages. By creating our own package, we're cutting out the middleman. This gives us more control over the cost, licensing, and support. It also allows us to more closely tailor the solution to each customer's needs. Tracking printing, copying, and scanning activity company-wide can easily be done with the copier's logs and the FTP server's logs. Allocating document costs to a department or office is easily done with the copier's account codes. Enforcement of the print and copy quotas can be done with account codes. Making printing convenient and secure can be done with the driver configuration. Making print jobs more cost-effective would be done by setting the defaults in the print drivers. And creating useful reports, again, would be done with the copier and FTP server logs. Having our document management solution compartmentalized into different softwares also means being a one-stop shop for fixing any complications that may occur down the road. This basically eliminates the need for a support contract between us and the software vendor. And remember, by implementing a management solution, we're not just solving a customer's problems with document tracking, but also creating a dependency between us and our customers. This dependency can only help to prevent our competition from gaining a foothold and may lead to ongoing network support contracts that continue to add value over time.